just learned she tried to get $12 million from the King of Morocco for an appearance. More pay for play. That's why I'm proposing a pact of ethics reforms to make our government honest once again.
Press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish you were in high school. I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
Vice President Biden on the trail today, and there you see Donald Trump talking about the latest WikiLeaks dump, and these emails suggesting that Uma Abedin, Clinton confidant, emailing about efforts to get a $12 million contribution to the Clinton Foundation that Hillary Clinton managed to do. No matter what happens, she will be in Morocco hosting CGI, Clinton Global Initiative event, May 5th to the 7th, 2015. Her presence was a condition for the Moroccans to proceed, so there is no going back on this. Continuing between John Podesta, Robbie Mook, and Uma Abedin. Giving some context, the Moroccans agreed to host the meeting with her participation. If she was not a part of it, the meeting was a non-starter, and it goes into the king personally committing approximately $12 million for both the endowment and to support the meeting. It will break a lot of China to back out now, when we had so many opportunities to do it in the past few months. She created this mess, and she knows it, Uma Abedin writes. Now, the Clinton campaign, not going into details on all of these, but they point out that this is after she left the State Department, and they want to make that clear, which is clear, but there are many other emails showing Clinton definitely interaction with the Clinton Foundation throughout her time at State. Let's bring in our panel. Jonah Goldberg, senior editor at National Review. Leslie Marshall, syndicated talk radio host and Fox News media analyst, host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz. Okay, Howie, these emails keep coming. We keep on digging into them, some of them more interesting than others.
This, I think, is the worst one, because so many of the other hacked emails involve what people around Hillary Clinton are saying, the internal sniping and all that. Here you have Uma Abedin saying Hillary created the mess. It's about Hillary Clinton herself. And yes, she had left the State Department, but she was still widely considered to be a very likely Democratic nominee. Everybody knew that. And I think when we saw Chris Wallace at the debate ask Hillary Clinton about conflicts at the Clinton Foundation, and when she tried to deflect that by talking about the great humanitarian works of the family foundation, we see that this is an area of vulnerability for her that she doesn't really have a strong answer to, except to talk about Russian hackers and the works, admittedly the good works of the foundation.
Leslie.
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree that this is the worst WikiLeaks dump, if you will. One, she was not Secretary of State at the time. She did not end up going to Morocco, so I don't know how much China was broken. And I know people may think I'm crazy, but I think that we're more intelligent and not as naive to think that whether it's the Clinton Foundation or other organizations, if somebody says, look, I have this big check, but you guys got to show up at this, this happens. I mean, she was not running at the time. She was not Secretary of State at the time. She did not end up going.
You're saying it's
and then
politics
again,
as usual.
I think it is partially politics. I know people may be sick of politics as usual, but if we are so naive to believe that after this election on November 8th, whether here in Washington or throughout our country with every organization, it just comes to a stop if Donald Trump's president as opposed to Hillary Clinton, I think we're delusional.
John.
Yeah, if the genesis of this had been when she was at the State Department, it would be criminal, but it's not, so it's just tawdry. And I agree this kind of thing happens a lot. I take a step back about this. I've always seen the Clinton Foundation, yes, they do a lot of charitable good works, but by my lights, the charitable good works were a cost center, like the electric bill. The reason why the foundation exists wasn't to do good works, it was to serve as sort of a place to park lugubrious, sycophants like Sidney Blumenthal and other henchmen, a place to sort of serve as a super PAC, a place to park her campaign while they were government in exile, and they had to justify all of this by doing charitable stuff. The Medicis built orphanages too, but they didn't do it because they were wonderful people. It was about power politics, and that's what the CGI and the Clinton Foundation has always been about.
But they also revised where their policies regarding taking foreign donations and said, okay, these 6 nations are going to go to international efforts, whether it's climate change, health care.
It was a little murky there for a while. It was a kind of a long, we're not going to take foreign donations, except we will continue to take them in the health initiative. So it was a little messy. How much is this breaking through, Howie? I mean, how much is any of this breaking through?
I think to a very limited degree, and for two reasons. One is it tends to be complicated stuff. It's hard to explain, even though you're set up in a sentence what was wrong. You got to know the context. You got to know who the aides are, which country. And the second reason is that Donald Trump continues to dominate the news coverage. And if we weren't talking about his female accusers and the answer that he gave at the debate to Chris Wallace about not necessarily accepting the outcome, then the Clinton Foundation, the emails, and all this would be getting a lot more oxygen.
I mean, there's other parts of it, and they're finding more classified emails in the exchanges. There are concerns about a special ops mission that was in some of these emails, and it seems to some that the FBI, decided this was it. We're not going to go any further down this road. What about this video that shows her talking about cybersecurity and the importance of it to State Department employees?
The problem is it establishes that she's a complete hypocrite about a lot of these things. It establishes a lot of things that we already knew, that she knew that she wasn't supposed to have this email. It wasn't done for her convenience. Every single factual assertion that she made in her first UN press conference has been proven in the mainstream media, the supposedly pro-Hillary mainstream media, to be a demonstrable lie. The problem is, I think Howie's exactly right, is that Donald Trump would rather be at the center of a media controversy in a negative way than allow the limelight to move to Hillary Clinton and let her actually take heat in a public arena, and it just sucks up all of the oxygen.
Speaking of sucking up oxygen, I was at the Al Smith dinner last night, and there were some real eggs of jokes that did not go on either side, actually. I know the focus has been on Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton had some losers as well. Cardinal Dolan spoke about it on the Today Show about another conversation.
When we were going in, I said, could we pray together as we were waiting to be announced? And after the little prayer, Mr. Trump turned to Secretary Clinton and said, you are one tough and talented woman. And he said, this has been a good experience in this whole campaign, as tough as it's been. And she said to him, and Donald, whatever happens, we need to work together afterwards. Now, I thought this is the evening at its best.
Leslie. We didn't really see that part of it.
No, I think this is an example of that public and private thing, right? Because, they reach, come on, look, both of them laugh. Some of those jokes are very, very funny.
Oh, the good ones were very funny.
And actually, I had people tell me, Republican friends of mine tell me, if I had seen that Hillary on the campaign trail, I may not hate her so much. Seriously, they were like, she was funny, she was more relatable, they liked her more. I agree with you. There were some jokes, they call it in comedy out in L.A. where I live, going blue, and I was like, but I think that overall, and not just because she's my candidate, I thought that Donald kind of missed what it was about. And you know what these things are about, which is, one, the great work that Catholic Charities does in raising the money, two, a little self-deprecation, and three, some jabbing, roasting, being funny. Not a campaign, not a debate, not a time to be attacking, and not a time to mention Catholicism in a negative light.
Yeah, I mean, had he ended on the Melania speech joke, he had the whole crowd.
That was a great one.
If he dropped the mic and said, raise money for Catholic kids or kids in New York, it would have been fun.
I think we can all agree at this table that going to a Catholic charity dinner and getting booed is not a good thing less than 3 weeks out. But at the same time, if this is being so overplayed, I don't think it's going to move 10 votes. I know the media are kind of obsessed with it, how badly Trump did. It's the classic example of when a candidate is struggling, then everything, and Trump clearly with the self-inflicted wound of the debate and the poll slipping, everything becomes a metaphor for how badly the candidate is doing. The plane is stuck in the mud, just like the campaign. And that's what I think happened here at the Al Smith debate.